Welcome to Tane 4. The Federation stellar cartographers call it a hyperhumid biosphere with localized caustic precipitation cycles. The grunts on the ground call it the melting pot. 90% of the time, this planet is just a miserable, steaming hothouse of aggressive flora and mud that tries to suck your boots off. But when the atmospheric pressure drops and the thunderheads roll in off the acid oceans, Tane 4 becomes a theater of biological warfare where the sky itself tries to dissolve you. This isn't normal rain. It's a deluge of slightly acidic water that acts as a chemical trigger for the jungle's deadliest secret, the flora caustica or blood blooms. These aren't passive flowers, they are biological artillery. They sit dormant for weeks, giant, leathery pods looking like tumors on the jungle floor. But when the monsoon hits, they snap open, revealing pitcher-shaped maws filled with hypercorrosive digestive enzymes. They don't just wait for you to fall in. They use pressurized gas bladders to launch globs of this biological acid hundreds of meters, targeting movement and heat. A standard marine combat suit lasts about 12 seconds against a direct hit before the acid eats through the polyweave, the flesh beneath, and the bones under that. When a high-value geological survey team got pinned down in Sector Delta just as the grand monsoon season began, the brass knew they couldn't send in standard search and rescue. They sent us, the 8th Heavy Hazard Response Unit, the Rainmakers. We don't wear tactical armor. We wear shells. 400 kilograms of layered ceramic plates, ablative resin coatings, and sealed lead joints. We look less like soldiers and more like walking, cumbersome tanks designed to be vomited on by a planet. We don't carry rifles. Kinetic rounds just pass through the rubbery hides of the blooms. We carry the Hellfire Mark X, a high-pressure, chemically thickened promethium flamethrower system designed to burn underwater, in a hurricane, or in the middle of an acid storm. I am Captain Ironhide Rostova, and I have the scars on my ceramic plating to prove that on Tane 4, the only way to stay dry is to burn everything around you until the rain turns to steam. We dropped into the LZ just as the sky turned charcoal black and the first drops of rain, heavy oily droplets that sizzled when they hit the hot engines of the dropship, began to fall. The air pressure plummet was so severe my helmet seals popped, pressurizing instantly. Check seals. Check fuel pressure. The sky is falling, troopers. I growled over the closed comms loop, my voice echoing slightly inside the thick helmet. Unit 2, tank, is sealed. Fuel at 100%. Let it rain, responded Sergeant Petrova, hefting a fuel tank system that looked like a backpack for a giant. Unit 3, scorch, sealed and ready. My trigger finger is itching, Cap, added Corporal Vance. The dropship lifted off, leaving us alone in the deepening gloom. The rain intensified instantly, evolving from a shower into a torrential downpour that hammered against our ceramic shells like machine gun fire. Visibility dropped to 10 meters. The jungle, previously a wall of dark green, began to change color. Here comes the bloom, I muttered. All around us the jungle floor began to writhe. The massive, leathery pods snapped open with wet, cracking sounds that were audible even over the roaring rain. The insides of the pitchers glowed with a sickly, bioluminescent green light, the color of the acid. Contact. 360 degrees. They're waking up. Vance yelled. The first volley hit us. It wasn't subtle. A glob of acid the size of a basketball, launched from a bloom 50 meters away, slammed into Petrova's chest plate. Hisses cracked. The impact staggered her massive frame. White smoke and green foam erupted from her armor as the ablative coating sacrificed itself to neutralize the acid. The outer layer of ceramic pitted and scarred instantly. Armor holding. Chemical burns on the outer layer only. Petrova reported, not even taking a step back. Return fire. Burn the quadrant. Create a dry zone. I ordered. We opened up. The Hellfire flamethrowers roared to life, unleashing thick, cohesive streams of ignited promethium that cut through the rain like solid bars of light. This wasn't a gentle flickering flame, it was a jet engine aimed at the ground. The rain instantly vaporized into superheated steam where the fire passed. We painted the jungle in orange fury. The blood blooms shrieked as they burned, a high-pitched hydraulic whine caused by escaping gases from their rupturing acid bladders. When the fire hit the open pitchers, the acid inside boiled and exploded, showering the surrounding area in corrosive shrapnel. We pushed forward, a slow-moving phalanx of ceramic and fire. We were walking through knee-deep mud that was actively boiling from the heat of our weapons and the chemical reactions of the acid rain. The noise was unbelievable, the constant thunder of the storm mixed with the roar of 3 heavy flamethrowers and the hissing of a melting jungle. Survey team beacon is 2 clicks north. We have to push through the garden. I yelled, checking my HUD map, which was flickering from atmospheric interference. The garden was a dense cluster of ancient, massive blooms known to be the most aggressive in the sector. The deeper we went, the worse the monsoon got. The wind picked up, tearing branches from trees and turning the falling acid into sideways sheets of death. The blooms here were enormous, some standing 3 meters tall, acting like biological mortars, lobbing acid high into the air to rain down on top of us. A glob hit my helmet visor. My vision instantly went green and then white as the outer sacrificial lens melted away. I triggered the emergency tear-off, ripping the damaged layer away just in time to see a massive alpha bloom rising from the mud directly in our path. It was huge, its pitcher mouth wide enough to swallow one of us whole, pulsing with intense green light. It's blocking the path. It's dug in. Vance yelled, pouring fire onto its thick, rubbery base, but the rain was so heavy it was damping the flames before they could burn through. The Alpha launched a massive volley. It wasn't aimed at us, it was aimed at the ground in front of us, creating an instant moat of bubbling acid mud. Tank, you're up. We need the bunker buster charge. I ordered Petrova. Roger that, Cap. Covering fire. Petrova lumbered forward, her massive suit parting the mud. She unslung a specialized launcher from her back, a weapon designed to fire a concentrated thermite charge that burned underwater. Vance and I flanked her, crossing our flame streams in front of the alpha bloom, trying to blind its heat sensors with a wall of pure thermal energy. The plant thrashed, spitting acid wildly, hitting the trees around us, which instantly began to dissolve into gray sludge. Petrova knelt in the boiling mud, braced her launcher and fired. Thumpush. The thermite charge embedded itself deep in the base of the alpha bloom. For a second nothing happened. Then the plant seemed to convulse. A blinding white light erupted from within its stem as the thermite ignited, burning at 3,000 degrees Celsius, impervious to the rain. The alpha bloom didn't just die, it melted. The massive structure lost cohesion, collapsing into a heap of boiling green slag and charred organic matter. The way was clear. Move, before another one grows in its place. We crushed our way past the burning remains of the Alpha, finally reaching the survey team's coordinates. They were huddled inside a shielded geological rhino rover, the vehicle's outer armor already pitted and smoking from hours of acid bombardment. They had been smart enough to stay inside. Anyone caught out in this without a shell would have been soup hours ago. Rainmakers to survey team. Open up. Your taxi is here, I radioed on the local channel. The rover door cracked open and pale, terrified faces looked out at the 3 hulking, scorched ceramic giants standing in the pouring acid rain, steam rising from our shoulders. We need to move fast. The monsoon is peaking, I told them. You stay exactly between us. We are the walls. Do not step out of the formation. If you trip, you don't get up. The extraction was the hardest part. We were low on fuel, our armor was compromised in dozens of places, and the jungle was furious. The blooms seemed to sense their prey was escaping. The volume of incoming acid doubled. We formed a tight triangle around the civilians. We didn't bother aiming anymore. We just kept our triggers held down, creating a perpetual, moving dome of fire and steam around us. We were wading through a river of mud and acid now, the flash floods of the monsoon trying to sweep us away. Vance took a heavy hit to his right leg joint. The ceramic cracked and a seal failed. Breach right leg, he screamed, stumbling. I heard the sickening sizzle of acid hitting the undersuit over the comms. Tank, grab him. I'll cover the rear. I roared. Petrova grabbed Vance by his harness with one massive armored hand, hauling him upright, practically carrying him while still firing her flamethrower with the other hand. We were a chaotic, stumbling mess of fire and ceramic, fighting every inch of the way back to the LZ. The dropship pilots were insane. They came in low under the thunderheads, their engines struggling in the heavy air. They hovered 10 feet off the ground, ramped down, waiting for us in the middle of the acid storm. We shoved the civilians up the ramp first. Petrova threw Vance inside. I was the last one on the ground. I turned back one last time to the jungle. It was a blurred nightmare of green light, black rain and orange fire. I emptied the last of my promethium tank in a wide arc, a final act of defiance against the planet. I stomped up the ramp as the dropship lifted off, the metal hull sizzling as it climbed through the acid clouds. Inside the hold we didn't celebrate. The civilians were huddled in blankets, staring at us with wide eyes. We just stood there, dripping steaming mud and neutralized acid onto the deck plates. My armor integrity warnings were flashing red across the board. Vance was already injecting pain meds into his leg port. I popped the seal on my helmet and lifted it off. The air in the ship smelled sterile and cold. It was the best smell in the world. Another day in paradise, huh, Cap? Petrova grunted, her voice muffled behind her own scarred faceplate. Just a little rain, Tank, I said, wiping sweat and grime from my eyes. Just a little rain. Humanity had proven the ultimate truth of the green hell. When the planet itself tries to dissolve you, you don't hide. You don't run. You build a shell that's harder than the world outside, you fill your tanks with liquid fire, and you burn a path home. Tane 4 tried to eat us alive. We gave it heartburn it won't forget. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. The rain burns, but we burn hotter. If you enjoyed this elemental battle against a planet that spits acid, smash that like button and check your armor seals. Comment below. What's worse, a jungle that eats you in the dark or a jungle that melts you in the rain? Subscribe for the next story. The monsoon passes. The ceramic holds. We survive.